Very good evening, friends. A big sorry. Last week it was not possible to conduct lectures. Only one or two lectures we have done. Uh, because of heavy OPD and all those problems, it was not possible every time to conduct sessions. But today again we are meeting in the Stuart Close Philosophy, the chapter number 2, that is the general interpretation. And this general interpretation is related with the homeopathy, the scientific aspect of homeopathy. And to correlate the homeopathic science with the modern science or basic sciences, he has started with the 8 specific laws, doctrines, dictums in the basic sciences and how they goes hand in hand with the principles of homeopathy. And while explaining all those things, he started with few important things. In order to explain the causes of diseases, he started that there is nothing like a thing in this universe that which happens to be there without a cause. But behind every event, there is not a single cause. That is what the sentence which he has said. Behind every event, there are many causes. Same thing happens when disease has to happen. There are varieties of causes. It is not single cause which leads to the disorder, which leads towards the disorder. It is not possible. And that's why he explained that there are two types of causes which are present behind every disease. And then he explains the importance of prima causa morbi, a simple superficial cause. For example, if typhoid has to happen, the Salmonella typhi is the prima causa morbi, but prima causa morbi cannot do anything unless and until the secondary causes are present or secondary causes are for it. And which are those secondary causes? Then he started explaining about that. He has explained 4 important points in the secondary causes. The number 1 is peculiar corporeal constitution. So constitution should be for the disease to develop. Number 2, he has explained regarding the predisposition, that is second word which he has used, that is more important. Predisposition is nothing but the miasm, the dominating miasm. Number 3 is nothing but the susceptibility. The susceptibility is, if it is altered then and then, there will be disease. And last point which he has mentioned is the environment of the patient. So that is the 4th point which he has explained. And unless these are for the disease to develop, then Salmonella typhi produces typhoid, then only the Mycobacterium tuberculosis can produce the tuberculosis. Otherwise, the Mycobacterium remains in your body forever without causing a disease. Our gut is having many salmonellas without causing a typhoid, because the rest of the secondary causes, they are not acting, or they are not for the prima causa morbi to work. And this is what, on this note, we have finished the last lecture. Let us start on page number 10, the paragraph, the second last paragraph. Thus, in order to explain by science or accomplish by art a complex result, many laws must be considered, but especially the law of reciprocal action. And what is the law of reciprocal action? The actions and reactions are equal and opposite. Whole homeopathy revolves around this law, and human life revolves around this law. Because because everything depends upon this. Whenever there happens to be any variety of action, there is always a reciprocal action, that is a reaction. It is because human is sensitive, susceptible. Because of susceptibility, the reaction happens. And in order to maintain the health, same law works. In order to develop the disorder, the same law works. And third thing, in order to cure with the homeopathy, the same law works. And that's why one has to understand exactly what is law of reciprocal action. If you are in the state of health and by chance you get in touch with a very hot pot, what happens? There is a touch to it, and immediately the reflex action comes out in your hand, goes away. What is this? Action and reactions are equal and opposite, because of which your health is maintained. You are not get burnt because of it. So see, in the maintenance of health, it works. Second point, that is in the process of development of disease, the same work. You react to a number of factors in this world, in this universe. There are many factors which works on you. Your vital force, your vital principle tries to adapt that every action, and because of which you are maintaining your balance. But sometimes the action is so strong that it defects or it affects the vital principle, and then the reaction which comes out is not proportional to the situation, and then there is a development of signs and symptoms to which we label that patient is diseased now. So this disease is the reflection of the same law. Action and reactions are equal and opposite, and because of which there is a disturbance and caused the disease. It has caused the disease in the dynamic plane, in the inner dynamics of the human being. If you want to treat it with at the same plane, then you will require the homeopathic remedy in the dynamic potency. So your remedy, whatever it may be, the similimum used in potentized form works in the same plane, because it is not, it will not going to produce any primary action of it. Ultimately, it works on the same law of reciprocal action. And that's why he explains over there, we have to give importance and understand the law of reciprocal action. All changes in the nature are the result of reciprocal action, action and reactions of the bodies and forces. But here, an important distinction must be made between the animate and inanimate bodies and forces, between living organisms and machines. And this difference one has to understand when considering this law. It will be not exactly equal, which happens to be there in the non-living thing. If you put a ball with a specific force on the wall, that it will reflect in the similar manner, but it will not with the human being, living things. Reciprocal action is mediate and immediate. Within the living organism, bodies, forces act immediately, the one upon other, by virtue of living fellowship of all its parts. In a machine, they act mediately. Mediate means someone is mediator. So, if you have to put on light, you will require as a mediator, you will going to put a light on, the button is switched on, then light comes out. There is one mediator necessary. When it happens with the human being, there is nothing like a mediator. There is some action and reaction will be immediately happens. There is no question of a mediator which happens in the living thing. This is the difference one has to understand. The motion of all parts of the machine depends at every moment upon the force of the external cause alone. The machine remains constantly passive to the action of the force. The machine cannot supply itself with oil, repair the losses it suffers from rust, friction, etc., nor reproduce itself in the whole or in parts. It knows no need and feels no necessity for any of these things. The living organism, on the contrary, does know and feel its need and seeks to supply it. So this is a big difference between living things and non-living things regarding the law of reciprocal action. Machine does not know what it needs. It goes on performing task when the machine is on or the switch is put on, till it goes on, and it does not know what it requires. Someone mediator is needed, that yes, there must be some kerosene which is needed, there must be some fuel which is needed, or there must be some what you can say, uh, you have to add the oil in order to prevent rusting. So someone mediator is necessary. Machine does not understand that what it needs. Your vehicle runs till the fuel is there. Once fuel is finished, it never works. It does not know its fuel is insufficient. So things are different in living things and non-living things. Living being, being a human being, we know, yes, it is what it requires and what it does not require, how much it requires, that also we need. So living organism, on the contrary, does know and feel its need and seek to supply it. The living organism also receives external substances and their forces into itself, yet they are not the sole causes of its motion, but only for the nourishment of the constantly active parts. So we remain alive we get fuel from the environment in the form of food, in the form of oxygen, in the form of water, and we it works and produces the energy. And because of which we maintain our health, we are in motion, we reproduce. There are n number of functions of living things which happens because of it. Exactly opposite thing happens in machines. Substances taken into the organism from without remain passive within the organism while the organism towards them is active. This is very important sentence one has to understand. You consume the food, it goes inside your body, and that food itself never produces energy. Your body has to act against that food. There is first the mastication which happens to be there in the mouth, then there is some salivary amylase which gets added over there, then it enters through the your food pipe, then it goes inside the stomach, there is churning happens again over there, then some fruit that acid gets mixed. See the process, who is working against the food? Food itself never produces anything. Food is passive, your body is active against the food. So food is an action, reaction is given by your body against the food. Food does not pass spontaneously into the blood, nor is the blood changed spontaneously into the bile or urine, but these things occur by virtue of living, intelligent, reciprocal causes and effects residing and taking place within the organism according to the determinate specific laws. Hence, a machine is the complete opposite of an organism. So these are the things which happens over there. There is no mediator, and your body reacts against the passive food. Your body reacts against that passive water which you have consumed. Your body reacts with the oxygen consumed. And then there are the reactions develops over there. Machine does not know it. Machine works till the fuel is there. Once the fuel is finished, everything is stopped. Never happens with the human being. It never happens with the living thing. Science derives its knowledge of life from the consideration, the facts of observation and experience in connection with the laws which express the form of their necessity in accordance with which they occur. The facts and laws stand together with the same objective value. So, science derives its knowledge of life from consideration of the facts of observation and experience in connection with the laws which express the form of their necessity in accordance with which they occur. What it means? The laws are not derived before the facts. Facts were there. Facts were there before the Newton also. The falling apple was there before Newton. Only thing was that why it is falling down was not known to the world. Newton was the first one who observed it carefully, because of which he considered what may be the reason why it is falling down. His interpretation was very correct. He has interpreted there must be something which attracts it, or which there should be some force which attracts it to the ground. Then he thought over it, and because of which it was possible to have very specifically the force of attraction given by the earth, and then he labeled it is gravitational force, and then he labeled. So see how this has been very clearly come out. The fact was there, but from that fact the science has evolved, and because of which it becomes quite easy for us for comprehension and understanding regarding those facts. So science is developed from the nature, and science is developed from the facts which happens in the nature. It is derived from the same, and because of which we come to the laws. Facts and laws stand together with the same objective value. In considering the succession of two different states of the same living body, such as health and disease, the law of causation teaches that no internal effect can arise without an external cause, and that the effect itself may in turn become the cause of further changes. This is for those who are students over there, underline law of causation, 2 marks MCQ, and write that law. That is No internal effect can arise without an external cause, and that the effect itself may in turn become cause of further changes. This is the law which you have to write for 2 marks. And this is the truth. There is nothing which happens internally automatically. There must be some cause in the form of prima causa morbi. There must be some form in the form of cause, in the form of exciting cause. There must be something which happens from externally, which acts on your body, and your body reacts. So there must be something which is provoking the reactions inside your vital force, your vital energy. And then there is a reaction. The law of vis inertia teaches that all internal changes of the bodies in the nature are results of external cause, for without this all bodies would remain in the same state in which they were placed. Again an MCQ. What is law of vis inertia? And right over there that all internal changes of the bodies in nature are the results of external cause, for without this all bodies would remain in the same state in which they were placed. This is called as law of vis inertia. The state of the body must be known before any change in it can be drawn. The cause or the reason of the state of body, therefore, are the conditions under which it can be changed by any external cause. So whenever you are dealing with the patient, you have to ask what is the things, or what are the things which happens over there. What may be the exciting cause? What may be provoking cause? What may be the prima cause? Something from external world which has acted and pushed the diseases prior in the form of susceptibility, in the form of predisposition, in the form of peculiar bodily corporation, in the form of environment, and then the disease reaction comes up. But there must be something stimulating. Without that, it never happens. If you understand this concept clearly, then you will understand how the disease develops, specifically when you deal with the acute diseases or communicable diseases. In medical science, and especially in the therapeutics, rigid discrimination must be made between two relations of state and changes according to these laws, causation and vis inertia. Discrimination means to understand the difference between two things. Bheda bhed janna. Since the action of curative agent introduced into the body as external causes for the purpose of changing the state of the disease into the state of health can only be determined by paying due regard to the conditions of age, sex, constitution, predisposition as manifested by the symptoms or phenomena. So, two things which you have to understand. Whenever you have to understand the disease, you have to understand these two different things. First, what is the two different things? What is the cause and what is the reaction? Inertia is a reaction. The cause is there from external side, and how the reaction happens to be there. The law of cause, law of causation, and law of vis inertia. Inertia is a reaction, virod. And this is what you have to understand when you have to understand the change of state from the state of health to the state of disease, or state of disease to the state of health. You have to understand these two things. And once you understand these two things, along with the conditions such as age, the sex, the constitution, the predisposition, etc., then you will understand exactly the disease process. So it is not one-sided reaction. It is not so simple. It is a complex reaction. It depends upon age. It depends upon sex. It depends upon predisposition. It depends upon what type of constitution it is there. It depends upon the environment of the patient. It depends upon susceptibility of the patient. All those factors which you have to take into consideration when dealing with the disease. And you have to understand both the things, law of causation at the same time. How is the law of inertia works over there? Regard must always be had for the differences which exist between that which is constant and unchangeable in the life of the organism and that which is changeable. Most important thing which you have to look for is what is changeable and what is unchangeable. The things which are fixed are not so easily changeable. Your constitution is not a changeable entity in day-to-day life. Yes, it changes, but it takes long period to change. Today, if you are looking different and tomorrow you will be looking different, absolutely, it will not going to happen because so immediate change is not there with the fixed rigid thing. But certain entities which happens to be there inside your body, which comes generally from outside, enters in your body, reflects over there, they are always changeable. And what is changeable and what is not changeable, he explains over there. The constant and unchangeable are the laws of specific form as shown in the cells and connective tissues, etc. Forms are transmitted by the parents. So whatever the form which is given to you, it will not going to change so much. During evolution, there are very less changes. The changeables are the chemical and physical properties of the constituents of the organism, which are derived from the external world and functioning of the organism itself. Pathological form elements must be like the physiological, since the organism. Pathological form elements must be like the physiological, since the organism can form nothing within itself against its own unchangeable laws. According to the law of specifications, every change of form and function in the organism is accompanied by corresponding change combination of matter. Hence, when we observe any physical phenomena undergoing the change in the organism, we know that chemical-vital changes are going on at the same time. So see, this is what he is explaining. He is explaining the form which is not going to change immediately. Your constitution will not going to change immediately. But what changes is the things which comes inside your body from outside. Because if there are changes happens with there, it reflects in the form of a disorder. Order and disorder, our state of health and state of disease, it reflects immediately over there. So pathological form elements must be like the physiological, since the organism can form nothing within itself against its own unchangeable law. According to the law of specification, every change of the form or function in the organism is accompanied by the corresponding change of the matter. So there are something which is changing in your body. If it persists for longer time of duration, then there is a change in your form. Otherwise, it will not change immediately. The person who was suffering from certain disorder because already he's having that all secondary causes present, and he has reacted to the tubercular bacilli, and day by day the disorder is increasing, and gradually the person who was looking quite healthy now started looking diseased. He's losing his energy, and day by day there is a big weight loss, around 10 kg weight loss is there within span of 1 or 2 months without anything happens or without any diet. It means there is a first change happens to be there in his food habits. He is not having good appetite, he is not able to ingest too much, and gradually the effect of it happens on the structure, and then gradually that structure started changing, showing the change. So the first, there are functional manifestations develops over there, and gradually it started reflecting in the structural change, and this is how it happens inside the body. So forms never gets changed so easily, but first changes happens which in the things which are changeable in your body, and whatever constituents of your constitution which are taken from outside are always makes the changes, and they are always changeable, reflects in the form of maintaining the health or reflects in the form of producing a disease, first at the functional level and later at the structural level. I think we'll stop on this note and we'll understand next paragraph, because next paragraph explains exactly what is the constitutional disease or how the disease is constituted. So that part we'll take in tomorrow's session. And today evening we'll definitely meet at 8:15 with a very small remedy from Borixma Remedica, the carcinosin. We're going to learn carcinosin from the Borixma Remedica in today's session at 8:50. So thank you everyone being there and meet again at 8:50.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you.